This episode of the Nerf Herder Council is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download.
Hi, this is Joseph Williams, son of John Williams, and you are watching the Nerf Herder Council.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking Nerf herder!
You can't use that word. Only we can use that word.
You're tuned in to the Nerf Herder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate. Featuring your hosts, JT.
Stormtrooper armor deflects everything except Orback hooves. They're like a horse version of Thomas the Tank Engine.
AJ.
Yeah, Rebels is a lot like our show, where we think we have a good idea and then it just fails in execution.
Steve.
The vacuum of space does crazy things to your beehole out there, man.
On this episode of the Nerf Herder Council, we give our recap of Star Wars Celebration 20... Oh, God, I'm still worn out from the trip. We're recapping Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022.
This is the Nerf Herder Council.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Nerf Herder Council. I am your host, JT. We are live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We are live at those three fine locations every other Wednesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. You can also get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. You can find video replays of all of our shows on our YouTube channel. And if you'd like to download the audio version of the show, just Google Nerf Herder Council podcast. And don't forget, if you are watching on YouTube, please click that like and subscribe button so that you are notified every time we go live. Without further ado, let me bring on my esteemed co-host and my celebration cohort, my brother AJ.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. This is one of the fun ones. We always look forward to this. We only get to do it every few years. Our celebration recap. So yeah, this is always a good one.
Hell, it's been what, like a month and a half since we did a show? I'm juiced up, man. Let's get to
it. and of course, like, our show would have fallen on May 25th, which just like the perfect Star Wars day to do a show. And we weren't able to do a show, but that is because we were out, embarking on adventures and doing all sorts of goofy stuff as we are wont to do at Star Wars Celebration. So, yeah, that was one hell of a trip. We got to see a ton of stuff that nobody else got to see. Hell, even I got to see things even you didn't get to see because of that Mando panel that you didn't make it into. So,
stupid lottery.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, we'll just get right into it. I mean, you guys flew out Friday, and you and my wife and my stepkids went to Vegas for 3 days. So you are
I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean,
me out there somewhere, and I don't know if that's going to be used to blackmail me down the road. But
yeah, you guys were already going for 3 days.
You know, they actually changed the motto for Vegas. The whole, like, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, because obviously in this day and age that doesn't happen. So now it's what happens in Vegas only happens in Vegas.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it doesn't stay there, but it only happens there.
See, if it was me and you, it'd be what the F happened in Vegas?
Yeah,
the new tagline. But yeah, so you guys had a 3-day head start on me, which of course didn't slow me down any. I was like, well, tough cookies, time to roll. So we went to Los Angeles, actually. You guys picked me up at LAX Monday, the week of Celebration, and we headed out to the Sunset Strip. And we were meeting up with my good friend Mike Stang, who's a session musician out there. And we hung out at the Rainbow. We kind of bar hopped on the Strip, which was really cool. And, we stayed at a really cool little hotel. It was only like 2 blocks off of the Strip right by the Rainbow called Montrose West. So that was cool.
That place was nice.
Yeah. It was kind of like an artsy type of a hotel. They had like a chair that was a big ceramic hand. It's one of those places, the Andy Warhol-ish record covers all over the walls and stuff. But it was nice.
You picked that one specifically because of its history, right?
No, I couldn't get the ones with the history because of the price.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah. It was.
I was looking at that place, going like, did this get fancy like after all the rock stars stayed there, or was this like where they stayed when they finally got rich enough to afford a place this nice?
No. So because
it had a lot of signs about basically don't trash the room, and I was like, oh, that must have happened before. Yeah,
they probably did have people staying there, but. Look at Kale, all the way from Australia. Says, good morning from Coinda Primary School in Bunbury, Western Australia. He's watching from work. All right, Kale.
Wow.
Thanks, man. Good to see you, buddy.
Maybe you should get back to work.
Obviously, he's got a break. So, but the two main places on the Strip would be the Riot House, which is now a corporate. It's just a Hyatt, so that one was kind of out. Also, it was a lot more expensive than the place we stayed. And the one I really wanted to do was the Chateau Marmont. And that one, back when I was looking to do that in 2015 when we were going to California. No Led Zeppelin pun intended. It was, I think, like $450 a night, which is what I spent on the Montrose on this trip. But it was up to like $800 a night for this trip. And
even by California standards, that's pricey.
Yeah, I couldn't justify that, so that's why we didn't do the Chateau Marmont. But someday I'll stay there, I guess. We'll see. But yeah, this place I just picked because of its proximity to the Rainbow. I figured that's where we were hanging out. Let's make it a real close walk. And this place looked cool. It was, slightly under the max price I wanted to pay for a room. There we go.
This is actually in the lobby, so this is the kind of place we were staying at. Yeah,
yep.
Very artsy.
God, that was a cool place. I would definitely stay there again. I mean, it was a little pricey, but the room, had 2 huge king beds in it, and then a living room with like a kitchen, and a little balcony that overlooked the street. You could see up to the Strip from there. I mean, it really was a good view, and I thought it was a good value. So
it was really great. I mean, we got a whole kitchenette that we didn't need because we were only there for one night. But yeah, it was cool.
Put warm beers in and some rum. So
pretty much it. Yep.
So yeah, that was fun. And then of course you and I on Monday night we got drunk. Everyone else was like, we're not doing this, and we went and broke into the hotel pool. So
I've got a 4-minute video of that, but we won't share that online.
Yeah, it's KXM. What's up, KXM? Scary man.
I should probably delete that. That's now evidence.
What's up, man? Hey, look, if we haven't gotten in trouble already, we're not going to get in trouble. All right. All we did, yep. KXM, glad you had a great time at Celebration. Oh, you'll find out.
Yeah.
We definitely had a good time. Yeah, all I did was go up there. I mean, it wasn't locked or anything. It just closed at 10 o'clock. And I was like, F that. I went up there drunk and did cannonballs for a minute. I was like, screw this. I'm going in the pool. And then we went to the recreation area and we were playing giant chess for a second. So nothing, no harm, no foul. We didn't destroy anything. So it was just, some random stupidity. So that was pretty fun. And then the next day we went to Hollywood. So that was interesting. It was,
One word for it.
I had my crying moment because the first thing we did was, went to Eddie Van Halen's house, which, getting to that in a minute, I don't know why anybody would live in the Hollywood Hills. That was some bullshit.
Oh, that place is terrible.
The road was seriously.
We couldn't even find our way. We Google mapped the whole thing and still couldn't find our way there.
Yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous.
It would say turn left. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, the other left that's right here. And also a hairpin turn uphill 40 degrees.
Right? Yeah, dude, it was ridiculous. I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to live in that area. I mean, the houses were, immediately right next to each other. We saw driveways that were maybe 3 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is so packed tightly in. And then Eddie's house was on a private street off of that, where I think there was only like 3 houses or something. There was like one house, and you come around a bend, and Eddie's is at the corner, and then there's one to the left at the end. And
yeah, I don't know what I expected there, like a Graceland kind of thing, where like these giant gates are waiting there with like a Van Halen logo, but it was just like this unassuming, rusty kind of gate. Like, okay, fine, every house there has gates on them, but yeah. Underwhelming.
I knew what it. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, I knew what it looked like, so I knew exactly what I was looking for. So it was like, we passed it once, and then when we finally came back, I looked through the shrubs and the trees. I was like, oh, there's the house. I knew exactly what we were doing. So, and it was, you could laugh, but full disclosure, I was like full on sobbing driving down the hill, heading out to Hollywood and, Grauman's Chinese Theater and stuff. But it was like, the music recorded there literally changed the course of my life. It was, it was almost like, when some people, make a trip to Mecca or something. I hate to make it that serious because, that religious experience is much more obviously, I would say, important. But it's like that, the importance of it to me in my life was like, my wife and stepkids are in the car. I wouldn't know them if it wasn't for getting into music. And Eddie Van Halen got me into music because of the music that he wrote right there. So it was pretty heavy, but and
that trip that morning got us so many bingos on our John Drake bingo cards. So I appreciate that.
That's what you should have brought up on the screen is the John Drake bingo. That was ridiculous. That was like an all week game. Explain that one real quick.
Okay, so we had some time to kill on the drive between Las Vegas and LAX. So with 4 hours of nothing but Mojave Desert between us and JT's flight, we decided that wouldn't it be funny if we went ahead and made a game out of like all the John Drake mannerisms? And we were like, so what can we do with this? And I Googled up bingo card generator, and I was like, oh, it's right here. No problem. And we came up with literally, I shit you not, guys, 40 plus things to put on these cards. So not only did we all like have the clues, but we all had different clues. Like there was a surplus of things to put on the card aside from just the 25 squares to fill. And we had stuff like John gets emotional. Okay. Well, he cried at Eddie Van Halen's house. Road rage. That happened a lot. Emotional outburst, I think was one too, or outsized emotional outburst. So like you went from like cool to like murderous rage out of nowhere over the slightest thing during the drive. Tons of quotes, of course.
Yeah. Movie quotes that wasn't Star Wars.
Yep. Obvious quotes like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So
God damn it was one.
Yeah.
Or no, was that one or was that the one that should have been one?
Well, you actually gave me 2 spaces if I was still playing just by starting off the story because you mentioned your buddy Mike Stang. So that's a my buddy insert name here and then a name drop. So you got 2 of those right there. And then you were really nice to Steph and the kids. So you were overly effusive to your family. So there's another
because that's
one.
A bad thing.
Mouth breathing while using your phone. That's another one.
Guilty. I'm guilty of that. That's true.
Oh, yeah. Whistling to yourself.
I do that constantly.
Air drumming or guitaring. Yeah.
Do that constantly.
This might become a drinking game for our show. Just fair warning.
I don't do that on the show, although I almost dropped a goddamn it, so you almost got a square. So there's that.
I've still got the list of clues we can modify. Anyway, yeah, so we were playing John Drake bingo, and John Drake was not happy with that.
I didn't mind.
John Drake was very fed up with the Hollywood Hills on the way to Eddie's house and on the way from Eddie's house.
Well,
John Drake had
the
patience
traffic
left.
in the roads in California. No, I mean the roads are ridiculous. The traffic is ridiculous, and I had done the Sunset Strip the day before, and like I say, so we went to Eddie Van Halen's house, and then we drove to Hollywood because the kids wanted to see the Hollywood sign, so we did that, and then we went and saw Grauman's Chinese Theater. So if you've got that picture, you can pull that up since that is Star Wars related. But
yeah, let me scroll.
So
here.
the kids wanted to do like the touristy thing, which is cool. I really wanted to do Madame Tussauds, but because we parked in their parking garage, but we just didn't have the time.
I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah,
that was news to me.
I did. Man, and it seemed like it was Marvel themed, I think, right now. So I was like doubly pissed because I was like, damn it, I really want to see this stuff.
So yeah, we got to see R2 and 3PO and Darth Vader's actual prints in the cement outside of Grauman's Chinese Theater. That was pretty cool.
Yep. I took pictures of like Mel Brooks. AJ and I were looking for Hedy Lamarr so we could quote Blazing Saddles, and I couldn't find it. As soon as you mentioned that, I really wanted to find that just to do the quote. Oh my God, that would have been great, but I didn't see it, and I didn't find a guy to ask. So we did the touristy stuff, and then it was off to Anaheim, and all hell broke loose immediately.
Yes. Why don't you kick that one off?
So things in Anaheim are extremely expensive. Like you've probably heard that it's expensive, but we're not bullshitting. It's pricey. My wife only drinks basically like Mick Ultra or Miller Lite. And the cheapest Mick Ultra we found the entire trip was $8. And back here in Ohio, you can get a 6-pack for like $6.99. So it was a little bit of sticker shock. So we decide that, we're going to get smart and we're going to bring our own stuff. So we roll into a liquor store, and I bought a handle of Tito's, and AJ bought a big bottle of Jack. And we had a hangout that Tuesday night. It was a pre-party for the Bunta. And, oh, man, my buddy Brad Henry. What's up, Brad? My buddy Brad Henry. I haven't seen you in forever. What's up, gents? Greetings from Oakland, California. Gatlin forever. What's up, dude? Man, we're talking about California as we speak. I don't know. I get that. Go ahead and play your stupid game. The John Drake bingo's in full effect. Man, we're just talking about California right now, Brad. I don't know how you live out there. God damn, is it pricey? But so we had a hangout for the Bunta Eve Cantina that was Wednesday night. There was a pre-hangout at the hotel bar at the Hilton on Tuesday night. So we're like, we're not paying these hotel bar prices because there was an after party, like a private party we had been invited to by the organizers that we knew we were going to hang out at, and there was going to be booze, and I had brought some bourbon from Cleveland to share. So I'm like,
remember, we got that one round at the bar, $19 for a Bud Light seltzer and Mick Ultra, I think.
Yeah, it was off the hook. So I had brought my book bag, and I had, drank a bottle of water, and I refilled it with Tito's. So if anybody busts me, like quote unquote drinking water, they're not going to stop me. Be like, what's in the bottle? Like, duh, it's Aquafina. But
why does your breath smell like fermented potatoes?
I don't know. So we're at the Hilton thing, and we're hanging out, and met some new friends. A guy from Cincinnati was there who was wearing a shirt that I had brought to wear on the trip, so that was kind of cool. We got talking about Ohio and home, and ran into the organizers, our good buddy Spencer and John Chiato. And we're basically drinking our own stuff. And then we went upstairs to the private party, which was in the presidential suite. And man, that room was no joke. I mean, it was like 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a full living room, like kitchen, dining room. It was just incredible. So we're up there hanging out, and everyone's getting pretty schnockered, especially yours truly.
Yeah, you did a good job that night.
I was in rare form. It was like, my first night with my Star Wars buddies, and me and you were off on one of our adventures, which always gets me riled up. So I end up, like, me and John Chiato end up basically like wrestling a little bit. So like I ended up with a wound on my leg. I still don't remember how, but I have a big like like a big chunk out of my shin, so which is difficult to do because I was wearing jeans. So,
well, you're very impressionable, and we had spent the afternoon watching Jackass 4 and Jackass 4.5
That's right.
in the hotel room. So you were a little riled up by the time we got there.
Yeah, I was ready for some Star Wars for sure. And so John and I end up like tackling each other on the couch and whatnot. And Spencer had gone to bed. Poor Spencer. Boy, did I apologize. Yeah. So Spencer was the main organizer of the Boonta Eve Cantina that was Wednesday night. And he had to be up at 4 a.m. Thursday. So he basically, when he got done with the Boonta at like midnight, he had to run back and grab like 3 hours sleep and then be up at 4 a.m. to head out to Italy for his brother's wedding. So he's trying to get as much sleep as he can. So my stupid ass decides that it would be funny to barrel roll him in his bed after I'm tackling John. So I go running in there, and thankfully I didn't like completely tackle him and do all this stuff. Like I basically like jumped and rolled over him and then like ran back out of the room. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been because I had that brief little moment of lucidity going, yeah, don't do anything too crazy. And I texted him the next day and I was like, yeah, that was probably not cool. Sorry, dude. And I got like one of the worst text messages back you could possibly get. He says, you should know better. I was like, ouch. It was like your like parent, like saying,
parent. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So that, started things off with a bang. And then you've got the picture. So pull it up. You and I went wandering. And
this is a tradition of ours, actually.
Yeah.
We've done this, how many celebrations in a row now? It always ends up as the thumbnail for whatever episode we do afterward. So
yeah, I think I know we did it in Orlando and in Chicago. So I don't remember if we did it at the ones prior, but yeah, after that, we just started walking and looking at stuff and going, man, I can't believe we're in Celebration again. This is so cool. So
yep,
there we are on top of the fountain with the convention center behind us, and we took our usual picture.
And, well, of course, the best part is I was showing this to you right before we got on air, and what was your comment about this photo?
I don't remember this being taken. There he is. There he is, John Chiato. My wrestling partner, brother. My wrestling partner from Tuesday night. Oh my gosh. That was fun. So that was Tuesday. And then Wednesday what the hell did we do during the day? Because I know at night was the Boonta.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even, if it didn't involve Star Wars, I don't remember. Wait, didn't you guys go somewhere?
Sorry.
Didn't I know what happened? You guys went somewhere, and I was down at the hotel pool. You guys might have stayed in the room because I think you guys went and hung out and did something on your own, and then I came back. I'm like, well, now I want to go swimming or something or other. And there's the Vandalorian. What's up, brother? Our buddy Sean Hines. We hooked up with him out there.
Yep.
So him and his beautiful wife Lisa. It was awesome to meet her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know what happened to me Wednesday afternoon. I went to the pool, and I was sitting there by myself, and I know Steph and my stepdaughter Drew were down there, and they were just going up. And as they were about to leave, I said, Steph, get back here, get back here, get back here. And she says, what do you want? Is this better not be one of your dumb games? I'm like, get your camera out. I think that's Tim Morrison over there. Temuera Morrison. She's like, who? I'm like, the guy who plays Boba Fett and Jango Fett. So she stood there, and then, I was waiting to go see if it was them, but I didn't want to be obvious about it. Well, it did turn out that it was him, and I found out that it was him by being scared a little bit first, because he and his wife got up and it looked like they were leaving. I was like, oh no, because I was still sitting in the pool trying to play it cool. Well, then I realized they're just going to the bathroom. I was like, okay, it might be time for me to get out of the pool and dry off a little. And so I did, and they came back out and sat down. So I walked over and I was like, I'm so sorry to bother you, but are you Temuera Morrison? Temuera Morrison? And he said, yes, I am. And I was like, oh man, that's great. So I was like, can I get a real quick selfie with you? He's like, sure, bro. So I got to tell him, I have a buddy in Dayton. Go ahead and mark your card, AJ. That is from New Zealand, and he always told me that if I ever met Tem, that I had to tell him my bro and my bandit napui. And I'm bad at the New Zealand accent, but so I got to tell Tem that. He's like, oh, that's his tribe, bro. He's talking about his tribe. So that was a cool little moment, and that kind of yet again started a celebration off meeting a celebrity, which has happened, I think, at every single one of them that we've been to now. Mm-hmm. Be it Ray Park or Ben Burt, now it's Tem Morrison.
Dude, so maybe we were just at the right hotel, but it seemed a lot easier to cross paths with them this time. Because I'm not usually going up to anybody, but I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, we ran into Phil Tippett on, was it Friday after the ILM panel? So he was down there. I didn't get to, you got a picture of him, but I didn't get to get a picture with him.
Yeah, he was super rushed. He was on his way out to grab a car, so I wasn't going to stop for a selfie.
Yeah, and both times I saw him, he was actually talking to somebody with a lot of paperwork in front of him, so he was doing some kind of business. So I wasn't about to interrupt that. I think it was either Thursday or Friday morning. I saw Tem walking out of the lobby as we were leaving to go to the convention, and someone next to me said, "Oh, is that Tem Morrison?" And there's Phil Tippett. There's Phil Tippett, ILM legend. Man, God, that's cool running into these people just like that. And the guy said, "Was that Tem Morrison?" And I said, "Yeah, that's him. I met him yesterday." And he said, "Oh man, you and McGregor just walked past with security and got in a car." I was like, "You and McGregor staying here? Holy crap!" So, and there were others that we saw but didn't get to get a picture with. So Wednesday night is the Boonta Eve Cantina. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's kind of a tradition, right? I mean, we got involved, back in 19 at Chicago, I think, right?
Yeah, that was the second Boonta, and this was the third one.
Okay, yeah. So that was the second Boonta, and that was kind of a classic because neither of us made it out of there alive, just about, through trying to supplement our lack of food with additional beer. So,
right.
Not all calories are created the same, folks. But yeah, so this time we actually had a plan. We went out there. It was packed though, right, bud? Oh yeah. Like that. They were actually saying that this thing has grown to where, it's probably going to be a ticketed event from now on. Cause they got to do crowd control somehow. Yeah. There's just way too many people to find a venue for this thing. So we got out there pretty early on, and we were, doing the schmoozing and stuff. You're in a room full of Star Wars fans, so of course you can strike up a conversation with anybody, even a Steeler fan, right, John?
Yeah, we because originally we had hooked up with our buddy Sean, the Vandalorian, and then Chris Mocht, who the host of Mocktails from the Cantina. He's been on our show several times, and so when they had to take off, they were going to the Rebel Force radio party. We were eating, and I happened to see this just enormous black guy. He looked familiar. I was like, but he's wearing a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt. But I asked him, I said, "Are you the guy from the Celebration highlight video from 19? Like you're in the Jedi robes, but you're doing the Darth Vader?" He's like, "Yeah, that's me." So we get to talking, and of course we start running our mouths about football. And then his buddy was there. I think his buddy's name was Chuck, I want to say. Chuck and Bruce. But might be Rich. I don't know. I'm terrible with names. And we just sat there, bullshitting with them for over an hour. Mm-hmm. So that was outside, and then the Boonta got started, and then we had to head inside.
Yeah, and you were actually in the Boonta. There was 13 people in the first round. It whittled down to only one at the end.
Yeah, it was first. It was a karaoke contest called Alderaan Idol, and actually Spencer asked me to open the thing because he wanted kind of like an energetic performance, and he knew that I kind of move around. So he asked me, would you mind opening? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I'm a bundle of nerves, and I had to be the first one to go. So that was fun. I sang Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy. And it was fun. It was, like I say, a room full of Star Wars nerds. And the only problem was I had blown my voice out. Like I had sang the Saturday prior, and then I was sitting there talking so much leading up to that Boonta that my voice was pretty well hit.
Plus, there's something about the air out there. I don't know if it's the smog or what. We had the same problem in Las Vegas where it's just so dry that, like, my God, my voice was blown all week and I didn't do a thing to it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do anything.
Yeah. It was,
so how you made it through that set, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, you were there when I was picking songs. I'm like, okay, what can I actually hit? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I made the second round. So I made the round of 8, which was fun. And I'm like, okay, now what? So I chose Summer of 69 because it had become apparent in the first round that if you pick songs that everybody knows, like the crowd pleasers, that was a pretty good way to, you know, help yourself advance. So I did Summer of 69. And I refrained from doing my alternate lyrics because I like to mess with people and see if they're paying attention. So the line that goes, standing on your mama's porch, I go, standing on your mama's corpse. And I did not do that. At the end, you know, instead of, you know, me and my baby, it was 69. I'm like, me and your grandma in a 69. Ew, gross. It was your grandma. And like, I didn't do that. So I was actually, I behaved myself. So, but even then, like, I mean, God, speaking of prices again, I mean, what did we run up? I mean, I know that you covered the
like
food tab.
Yeah,
and that was the food bill. And then my bar tab for all of us was like 150. So, I mean, with tip.
And that was only a tab for 5 people, by the way.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, the bar tab was only.
And one of them
4.
went home sick.
Yeah.
So it was really a bar tab for 4. Yeah.
4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so with tip, we probably dropped over $400 doing this, but it was worth it. And it was came time for the finals, and I was like, I just wanted to have fun. Well, I made the finals, so I was guaranteed a giant Kyber crystal, because our buddy Kiato, he was one of the 2 main organizers of this thing. He had actually 3D printed giant Kyber crystals. They're about probably about yay big each, about like that. And third place was blue. And
I'm surprised you don't have it nearby.
I have it behind me, so I could go get it, but
it wouldn't show up. It's the wrong color.
Yeah, exactly. That's why
right now it's a transparent crystal.
Exactly. But look at Sean. The Vandalorian was dropping back Mandalorian Mai Tais like they were juice. Yeah, I saw a lot of those across your table, man. But those were good. In your defense, I don't blame you. Look at that. Oh, look at. Okay, my co-host of my Dream Theater show is trolling me. What was the entrance fee for the actual convention? Was it a pass that gets you in all days? Shut up. He's setting me up for a joke. I'm not even going to answer that. I know what he's doing. So I was guaranteed one of the Kybers, and third place was blue, second place was green, and first place was the black crystal. So from, you know, the Darksaber. And I was like, you know what? Like, if I'm going to win any of these, I really hope I actually get second. Like, it'd be awesome to say that I won the karaoke contest, but I'm kind of hoping that I get second because I want the green. And wouldn't you know, I placed second. So I got the giant green Kyber. It was cool. And I did pour some sugar on me in the final round because I was like, my voice was so shot. I need something I could basically just yell on pitch. So I picked pour some sugar on me. It was like, and I knew the crowd would dig it and everything, but it was totally a cop out because my voice couldn't handle anything else.
That was one of the weirdest conversations on the way to the bar too, because you were trying to scheme. You're like, all right, what can I sing that's not going to win me the competition? It's going to place me second. Like, how many people aim for second place, right? Like, that's a dangerous game to be like, I want something that's good, but not awesome. Like, not too shitty to get third or bounced out, but not good enough to get first.
Well, I mean, I wanted to win, but I think I wanted the green Kyber more. So, I mean, I busted my ass. I sang my ass off. I didn't sandbag it, but I ended up getting exactly what I wanted. So that was good. Our buddy Joseph Wren is about to get banned from the chat. He says, "Did you ride the space whales at Celebration this year?" Fuck off, Joe. Enough with the damn Purgles.
I also supported. I did a little flashback for us because if you remember Orlando 2010, how we first met the Thrashers was a bottle of Bacardi in the car, during the Friday night mixer.
Yes.
So your stepson Dominic got introduced to that tradition because there was a liquor store right next to the bar, and we were having a hard time getting served. So I was like, "Hey, what if I put a bottle of Bacardi in the car? You want to come out for some refreshment?" So we were taking trips back and forth to the car, and we killed that son of a bitch.
Well,
props to Dominic. He was holding up his end of the bargain.
That's become one hell of a tradition for us because we get tired of bar bills, so we end up buying our own.
It's exactly what we do.
It sounds irresponsible, but it's like let's face it, it is irresponsible in one respect because you're hiding open bottles of booze in your car, but it's responsible in one point that we're saving money. We're being frugal. It's fiscally responsible. So, and to be clear, neither JT or I drove home from that bar. So, safety first. Was that the night Dominic drove? Well, thanks for outing us. I was trying to sound responsible, but yeah. Oh, the kid I was feeding rum to drove us home. Yeah. Well, that was his fault. I told him not to, and he just kept going. I was like, dude, get out of the driver's seat. You're not doing that. If anybody's taking a chance, it's me. And he wouldn't do it. So that was irresponsible. But I'm like, what are you going to do? So, well, the Uber was the plan. It just didn't work out that way. But, oh well. Well, we couldn't get one. Yeah. We killed a bottle of rum in the parking lot, just like Orlando 2010. So the tradition continues. In your defense, it was the flask size, so it wasn't like, like points. Yeah, let's not make it sound like it's like a full, that story comes later, finishing an entire full-size bottle of booze in one night. But we'll wait for Saturday. Get this moving. We haven't even gotten to Celebration yet, and we're already 35 minutes into this show. I know. Well, this is our recap. So, but after Wednesday, the convention starts. So we're at Celebration, and excuse me. It was, man. This is outside what turned out to be the Mandalorian experience, if I'm remembering the right entrance. But this is what it looked like on screen outside of the convention center. So this is like, this always will pump you up. The first day of Celebration, when you roll up and you see the key art, this enormous banner and stuff like that, and all the Star Wars stuff everywhere, and everybody in costume. It's just nothing pumps you up like that. And they did the lottery for the main panels again. And I actually had 6 chances because I had 2 4-day passes, mine and my wife's, and I also had a single day pass for each day, Thursday through Sunday, because I had bought tickets when they went on sale when it was supposed to be in 2020. And I never asked for a refund. I just kept them just in case. So I ended up having 6 badges, and I ended up winning entry to all 4 of the panels. And you got 3, correct? Mm-hmm. But you only went the one I did not get was the Mandalorian panel. Okay, because you and I had the Twin Sun stage. Because so for those of you who don't know, the panels happen live on the Celebration stage, which was like the little amphitheater in the Anaheim Convention Center, and then they live stream it to 2 other stages, which one is the Galaxy stage, which is the bigger one, and then a smaller one called the Twin Sun stage. And we won the lottery for the Twin Sun stage for the opening panel, the Lucasfilm panel, on Thursday. We won Galaxy stage for Friday's ILM panel, Light and Magic. It's about a new documentary that's coming out on Disney Plus. That's a 6-part documentary made by Lawrence Kasdan. It's all about the history of ILM, and it just looks fascinating. And then I won Celebration stage tickets to both Saturday and Sunday for the Mandalorian Season 3 panel and the Bad Batch Season 2 panel. And you won Celebration stage tickets for the Bad Batch panel on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about Thursday and getting into that, how getting in. Yeah, talk about that. Yet another frickin', well-planned entrance strategy by whoever sets these damn things up. God, do we have to talk about that, or can we just skip to the good stuff? Because every celebration is chaos on day one when people. It's like they've never done it before. Like there's no signage pointing you where to go, or this line for this line for that. We were just all clustered up, kind of wandering in a mass. Like, where do we go? I don't know. Are you going to the first panel? Or are you just going to the show floor? Like,
they really need to figure this stuff out badly. But yeah, we did eventually figure it out, but it wasn't because any show staff let us know what was going on. It was because the attendees just kind of like talk back and forth, like, "Hey, what are you here for? What are you here for?" Blah 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 blah. So we eventually figured out where the hell to go, but like it was astounding. And then as we're walking out that afternoon, there was finally a sign up that said like, "Oh, celebration stage this way, show floor this way." And like, why wasn't that up at the beginning? Like the first time people walk in and they've got something to go to, like the keynote panel of the entire celebration event, and no one knows where the hell to go. It was ridiculous. Like, did they not have a walkthrough ahead of time with staff to be like, you direct them here if they're doing this, you direct them there if they're doing that? I don't think they know, or I think they were short staffed because it was, yeah, like Vandalorian said right here, poor signage and uninformed staff. Yes, very much so. I actually thanked the staff on my way out the last day because I was like, man, this job can't be easy because Star Wars fans can be real jerks, especially when they're all wound up for Celebration.
Yeah.
And they did not have the information they needed to like be at all helpful. So they probably had people yelling at them all day long about like, what the hell? Why don't you know this stuff? And it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mandalorian. It's not like they had an extra 2
It was kind of astounding because I mean, it's not their first time at this venue either. I know it was 7 years ago, but they know how to run a celebration at Anaheim Convention Center. So why it was such a cluster getting in that first day, I have no idea.
Well, and we'll get into the actual panel here in a quick second, but just as an example of what we're talking about, you had to go all the way to the far entrance to get into the queue to wait. Well, if you had to have a QR code to show to get into the panels if you won one of the lotteries. So the lines are just jam packed and we're like, okay, where the hell are we going? Because we started seeing some of the lines being let in. And we're like, all right, and we're all the way at the far end and we're like, okay, this is going to take us forever. We're going to miss the damn panel. So AJ says, well, you hold our place in line and I'm going to go. No, you. I
held the place in line.
That's what I'm saying. You said, I'll hold our place. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have misspoke. But yeah, AJ said, I'll hold our place in line. And then you go.
Whatever line that may have been, we didn't know.
Yeah.
We were just in a line.
Yeah, he told me to go figure out what the hell was going on. So I go all the way back out and I find somebody. I said, hey, which line do we get in to get into the panel? And he says, any one of those in E over here, like the whole room, any of them. I'm like, okay. So I go back and I find AJ and we're talking and he said, any line works. And we're like, okay. And someone behind us said, well, do you have a QR code? And I said, yeah, we both have QR codes for the Twin Sun stage. And she said, well, you want to get one of those lines that's going in because those people have QR codes. This is the standby line. And I'm like, how the hell does one of the attendees know this and not one of the workers? What the F is that? So,
plus where they had us queuing up was dumb too because it was nowhere near where we were trying to get to.
Yeah. So we ended up running and getting in one of the QR code lines. We got in and then this was kind of a cool moment because we were standing with some people that had never done a celebration before. And they were like, we have no idea where we're going. And I said, well, we've been here before, so follow us and we'll direct you. And we let them, we figured out as we were going where, the Twin Sun stage was and they followed us the whole way and we got them there and we all got in and everything was good. So that was really cool.
Made new friends standing online.
Yep. And it was, one of them was this guy, Sully, who actually placed third in the Bunta. And I ran into that guy multiple times every day. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah. I'm like, everywhere I turn, there's friggin' Sully. I was like, what the hell? What's up, man? So that was pretty cool. But yeah, the first panel we sat down and, man, it opened with, the Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff. And I can't even imagine what the volume was like at the celebration stage because people were going bonkers in our stage, the streaming stage, and having been in the celebration stage for 2 other panels in the coming days, like it gets loud in there. Mm-hmm. And when Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen came out, it was just complete like holy crap. So they went through the Kenobi thing, and when we walked in, they had, checked our QR code, but remember they put this green like wristband on us, like a shimmery green wristband. We're like, what the hell is this? So we thought that was a wristband that you had that they gave you when you swiped your QR code for any of the morning panels. We're like, okay, so we're assuming that I was going to get 3 more of these things, in the coming days. So we'll come back to that. So they did that. And then the next thing they do, they talk about Andor, which was amazing. Mm-hmm. Because, you and I are huge Rogue One fans. So I don't know about you, but I've said it on the show. I'm super pumped up for Andor. And, then they brought out, Diego Luna, which was awesome. So they had him out there and Mon Mothma. So, they came out and they talked about it. We saw the first trailer for Andor. So that was cool. And then they talked about, I'm trying to think what order they did all these things in. Was it Willow that came
I think
next?
after that is when, sorry?
Was that when Willow? Did they do Willow after Andor?
No, I think they stuck with all Star Wars first. So I think after that was talking about Ahsoka, I want to say.
Okay. Well,
where Rosario Dawson had a video message because she was filming on set and could not attend.
Yeah.
Or so we thought.
Yeah. The filming location for their stuff is like an hour from Anaheim, they said. And so Rosario Dawson couldn't be at Celebration. More on that later. And so she had like a video message, and then we saw like the first like footage from Ahsoka, and it, they had only been filming for like a couple weeks, so I mean they threw this together real quick. But it's quite obvious that you gotta be up on your Rebels in order to in order to get with the Ahsoka stuff. So we saw that, and then they announced a show that no one had ever heard of before called Skeleton Crew. And it's like these 4 kids get lost in the woods and they got to find their way back. It's an adventure story. And it stars Jude Law as the main character. And the guy was very clear. He said, the show stars kids, but it's not a show for kids. This is not a kids show. So it's like, okay, so they did that. And then
it's basically Stranger Things in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. So at that point, we've seen all this cool stuff, and then they announced the Willow show, and we see the trailer for Willow. And then Kathleen Kennedy comes back out, and she starts talking about how
that was our first thing, by the way, because notice they labeled that one as the Lucasfilm panel.
Yeah.
Not the, Star Wars or here's all of our new shows panel. It was just the Lucasfilm panel. I'm like, well, it's very non-specific to Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
then they did the Willow reveal. We're like, okay, now we get the Lucasfilm thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's me sitting next to you like, I'm sitting next to you the whole time going, if I get Indiana Jones, I'm going to lose my shit. And then they did Willow. I was like, oh, well, there goes that. So Kathleen Kennedy starts talking about John Williams, how it's his 90th birthday and all this, that, and the other. And then they mention his music and they say, well, we were looking back at all of his themes for Star Wars, and we realized that Obi-Wan Kenobi doesn't have a theme. So, John Williams wrote a theme for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And, you guys are going to be the first people in the world to see it performed live. Here's the Anaheim blah, blah, blah orchestra. So, the curtain kind of comes up and there's an orchestra there. And she says, and who better to conduct it than the maestro himself, John Williams? We're like, holy crap. Mm-hmm. So John Williams comes out and he conducts, the orchestra. And I'm like, okay, so this is going to be the coup de grace of the panel. Cool. And he turns around after that and he says, well, I'd like to play another piece of music for you. It's not Star Wars, but I think you'll know it. And they go dun 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 dun. And I grabbed it like I was like, oh my god. And then they have this, they showed a picture, like the first promo shot of Indy from Indy 5 on the screen. The lights come up and Harrison Ford is standing there. And I was like, holy shit. Oh my God, it was so cool. So they announced the release date for Indy 5 and Harrison Ford talked for a little bit. The release date's going to be June 30th of 23. They didn't release the title though, which is kind of weird. So
yeah, we got a little overhyped in the room, if you remember, because as soon as rumors started swirling, between Sully and us, we were like, wait a minute. Indy 5 could be a thing. Maybe we're going to get a trailer for Indy 5. And like, that was a bit of an overreach, but it sounded like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. So Vandalorian, he says, this 49-year-old ass man was blubbering mess of tears and joy. Dude, I had tears of excitement running down my face, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Joseph Wren, Discuss Metal Joe says, wait, new Willow? Yeah, man, look it up. The trailer's out there. It's a episodic series on Disney Plus. Looks pretty cool.
August
actually.
or September. Yeah,
it's not too far off actually. So that was the Lucasfilm panel, and then from there we kind of just meandered around and kind of did our thing, and all hell broke loose Thursday night. That was I think that was when we really corrupted my stepson.
Every night.
Well, my stepson decided that he was going to drink that night, so he ended up just going and going and going and going, and.
Yep.
Man, we were, yeah. God, that was one of the mornings we were up to like 3 or 4, and he, we had the damn Bacardi again, and we were at the hotel bar. Like, man, how many places did we go? It gets so blurry.
As usual, I can't tell you because I don't remember. I was there for all of it, but I don't remember.
I know we met up with some
There's only
friends.
so many nights in a row you can drink for hours before they all just start blurring together, and you just assume you had a good time.
Yeah. So, that was. We were. I believe that was the night we were trying to decide if we should take him to a strip club because he doesn't really give a shit about that stuff, and neither do I.
We did try, yes,
but we were like, forget it. Like let's just go drink. So we decided that was a stupid idea.
And huzzah, drink we did.
Yes, we did. And he was
the drinking part.
Ooh, he was digging into me all night long. I was like, all right, you little prick, you're going to get it. I said, and also you're going to pay for this too, because if you don't eat something and drink water and aspirin before you go to bed, you're going to be feeling it. And sure enough, he was laid up all day Friday. He did not get out of bed. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. And he didn't drink the rest of the trip.
yeah, he was done. That was it.
He had done Vegas. He had done, Tuesday night, and then he did Thursday night. He's like, yeah, enough of this. So Friday rolls around, and we had Galaxy stage tickets for the Light and Magic ILM panel. And you did not
My
make
stupid
it.
ass missed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had kind of dragged a little bit of ass. And I was like, all right, we knew at that point how to get into the thing and how long it took. So I went over. I was like, all right,
mistake. I did not counter that into my timetable.
Yeah.
That was oops.
Yeah. And that panel was really cool because I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was something about ILM. Well, I didn't know that it was about a new series that they're going to have coming out on Disney Plus. Again, like I said earlier, it's a 6-part series created by Lawrence Kasdan. And it's more than just hey, here's the history of ILM. It's much more personal. They showed footage from it, and they had all the main guys out there. Lawrence Kasdan was supposed to be there as like the main, the main guest of honor or whatever you want to call him on the panel. But he tested positive for COVID that morning, so he had to kind of do it via Zoom. And it was kind of funny because they had a moment where they went back to him and he was on mute and couldn't figure out how to unmute it. So it was like a total, one of those. But it looks really, really good. They had Dennis Murin and Phil Tippett and Joe Johnston up there, and a couple other people, Doug Chang, and man, it looks really good. I was bummed out that you missed that one because it was really, really interesting. So I
love all the behind the scenes stuff too. So yeah.
Yeah, and it is really, really, it's really, really cool, the stuff they were talking about, to the point where they had a woman, I don't remember her name, but she ended up being like George Lucas's assistant during the second half of the production of New Hope. And she was talking about how she went back in the back lot one day, and all the guys were in the hot tub, and they had a refrigerator on a crane and were just dropping it over and over again, making this ridiculous noise. And so the executives were all pissed off because they thought that everybody was just screwing around. Well, Joe Johnston told her, and she didn't know this. He literally tells her this on the panels. First time she'd ever heard this, that they weren't just screwing around. They were like Ben Burt they were all recording sound. Like they were recording the refrigerator hitting to get like sound effects for the movie. So they were just in the hot tub while it was happening, but they were doing this stuff to try and get more sound for the movie. And she never knew. He basically broke it to her on that panel. So that was really cool. And, so, they were doing that, and, it just looks like a really, really fascinating documentary because, again, it's not just a history. It goes into a more personal direction, I think, is basically how they described it, and kind of from what they showed. Ron Howard was on that panel too, and he talked about it. So it was just, the panel was great, and the show looks awesome. I got to find a release date for it. I haven't found it yet, but,
speaking of Ron Howard, he did drop a little thing, very little thing, but, remember during the, opening panel where, there were chants of, Solo 2. Oh yeah. And he actually responded to those. He said, "Guys, I'm not in charge of those decisions. I thank you for the support." But he basically he didn't say he didn't want to do it, or the fact that he acknowledged it at all, I thought was actually pretty brave. Yeah. Because he could have just let it go, but he decided to address the fans that were crying for it. So that's pretty cool,
right? Yeah.
At least we know that if they would ever greenlight such a thing, he'd probably be down to come back and do it again.
Yeah. By the way, we forgot to mention that they showed Mando 3 in the opening panel, but that's because we're going to get to that actual panel here in a minute. But yeah, they showed.
Well, there was another panel on Friday though that I did make.
Yes.
Remember, and this was a weird one because it was an afternoon panel, and you'd think that based on the timing of this celebration being 20 years after the release of Attack of the Clones, that they would make a bigger deal of it. But instead, for some reason, they decided to put the 20th anniversary panel on in an afternoon. So there was no actual lottery for it either. It wasn't one of the highlighted panels you could get in the virtual queue for. So we did get the celebration stage for it though, which was cool because I had been in there in 2015, but to actually see it again and see what all the hype was about. And obviously, as you could tell, people were pretty jazzed for this thing. Like that is just wall to wall people, lightsabers and everything. And they had trivia and stuff ahead of time. It was fantastic. Yep. And pretty much anyone that they could get for the panel was there. So I love the way they present these panels, don't you, JT? Where they bring out everybody, and then then comes the rest, right? Like they did the whole panel. They had who did they have? They had Tim Morrison and Ashley Eckstein was the presenter, and Daniel Logan and
Doug Chang. It was John Knoll, Matthew Wood.
That's right. So they had some behind the scenes guys, and they, of course, and Anthony Daniels, and they're going through, they're talking about all this stuff. And you're like, there's a couple conspicuous absences here, given that we know some people in this movie are at this celebration right now because we already saw them earlier. And then they announce, and here's Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. And they come out and they second standing ovation of the day. It was crazy, the love for this thing. So it was a great time. But I think the real lesson from that whole panel, though, JT, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Tim Morrison and Daniel Logan need their own podcast. Yes, and it needs to be 5 hours per episode.
Yes,
those two. Tim Morrison stole that show. That guy can talk, and he is hilarious.
If you guys get a chance, go on YouTube and look up any of the panels that have Tim Morrison on them, or his interview on the Star Wars live stage, or Daniel Logan's as well. Those guys were hilarious. I mean, they've got to have their own panel. Yep. Yeah. I was gonna.
They're good sports too. Yeah.
I was just going to bring this up. Vandalorian, he says, I wasn't the first one to scream it, but I was the one close enough to the stage to scream like a bantha loud enough to get Tem to do the move. Yeah. Somebody at the panel said like a bantha, and they heard it, and Tem started doing the move from Boba Fett. It was hilarious. So, I think the other nugget that came out of it, which I thought was pretty interesting. I mean, it's not anything that I didn't already know, but Ewan McGregor basically said, he came flat out and said, that the prequels were not well received at the beginning, and that he really appreciates that in the last few years there's been this, groundswell.
Yeah, that's true.
Of support for the movie.
He had called out the fans previously for just being rotten to everybody involved with those movies.
Yeah. And so, but he specifically said that, that in the last like 4 or 5 years that the actors have all noticed that there's this all of a sudden this like renaissance of, love for the prequels. And so that's one of the reasons why he came, to do Celebration. I mean, it also doesn't hurt. I heard that he got paid $500,000 to do it. So that, that part helps. But, it was $300 for an autograph or $300 for a picture with the guy. But, yeah.
This is his first Celebration though, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's his first convention ever. In fact, I think he said that he's never even done a convention, much less a Celebration.
God, that moment when he walked out, you can see the videos, but I'm sure walking out on that stage for the first time in person is so there is no video that's going to prepare you for that reception.
Yeah.
Especially being one of the ones that had never shown up at a Celebration before.
Well, and so many of the actors, when they came out, you heard them, they were like, the energy is crazy. Like Diego Luna couldn't stop smiling when he was talking about Andor at the opening panel. And, Tim Morrison, he just came out and was just doing all these crazy moves and stuff like that. It was like, they just fed off the energy, and it was so cool. And, yeah, but to your point, the 20th anniversary Clones panel was awesome. And, man, every time like you saw anything Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, the place just went absolutely apeshit. So that was interesting. And, I wouldn't say there's like too much groundbreaking information in the, the 20th anniversary panel, but it was just great to hear about it. And for me, it was great to see a lot of love for the movie because I've always thought, and I've said it on the show before, that I think that movie's very underrated. It's got the clunky dialogue and the love story gets really ham-fisted near the end, but I love it. And it was really cool to see other people really digging on the movie. So that was cool. That afternoon I went and saw Doug Chang's panel. Or was that Saturday? I'm getting all my timelines crossed. But in any case,
it was Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
So.
Yeah. And then Friday, that was kind of like our slow night. We really were like,
yeah, it finally caught up with us after Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well,
yeah, we needed a little bit of downtime.
And Monday. But yeah, like we realized we had no plans on Friday night. We're like, why don't we just take the night to stay in and actually catch up on our sleep? And so we did.
Wait, was that the night that we tried to find a nice dinner?
Yes. And we ended up getting Uber Eats from that California fish place. But it was delicious.
Oh, that wasn't our KFC night?
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, that's not a very fun story.
We forgot to tell the story of the green wristband. So at the opening
you said you were coming back to it.
Yeah, and I forgot. There's so much. This should just be a 2-part episode. I swear to God. But
yeah.
But so we get this green wristband at the opening panel. We're like, okay. Well, at the very end, Ewan McGregor comes out, and this was on Thursday. So at midnight, Kenobi was going to hit the first 2 episodes, and he comes back out on stage and he says, if you guys got those green wristbands, what we want you to do is come back here at 5:30, get in line, because at 7:00 we're having a red carpet premiere for the first 2 episodes of Kenobi, and you guys are all going to see it before anybody else in the world. And we ended up not going because I was going to the bash. And my buddy Mike, I talked about that we met on Monday, his band, he was in the band that was playing the bash. So I was like, damn it. So Sean, he says it's a gold wristband. Sean, we were on this Twin Sun stage. Ours was green. Don't question me. But so yeah, ours was gold.
Rub it in our face, your highfalutin celebration stage. Okay.
Nice. So yeah, we could have gone and done that, but we were pretty worn out, and I had to be at the at the 501st bash at like 8:00. So because my buddy had put me and AJ on the guest list, so I had to go pick up passes and stuff. So
that was Bacardi bottle number 2 for Dom.
Yes. Yep. That was why it started. That was Vandalorian. My mistake, peasants. So we didn't go to the world premiere. And
we did the math and we're like, wait a minute. So we're going to get to see this like 6 hours ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
We can wait. It's fine.
Well, we ended up having drinks at the bash because it was included in the ticket price.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, my wife and stepdaughter had decided, yeah, we're going to bed. And the other 3 of us were like, we're not. And that's when we started just going and, wreaking havoc on our livers. So,
and yet again, we got fed up with the lines at the bar. So that's when I just went and bought a bottle of Bacardi. Yep. And Dominic and I were pulling off of that instead.
In the middle of the bash, you did that. So you had brought back a Coke bottle that was mostly rum and part Coke.
Yep.
So that happened there. And then, but yeah, so the green wristband was we could have seen the world premiere of Kenobi before anybody else, and we didn't. So we missed that part of it. The bash.
It wasn't the only surprise from the main panel, though. We glossed over one other thing that was not advertised for Celebration.
Okay. Talk about that.
So I think this is the first time they've done something like this. Like they like to do surprise reveals for trailers and shows and whatever upcoming stuff there is. Like John Williams coming out to conduct the orchestra, for example. Mm-hmm. But they did another thing. They also had, of course, they had Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni out there for the main panel on Thursday morning because they're pretty much running all the live action stuff now. So, which I didn't know that Filoni was completely like out of animation now because he's focused on the live action stuff. I thought he was still overseeing all that, but apparently he's handed that off. So that kind of explains why we're getting so much Clone Wars and Rebels stuff in live action now too. But so Favreau came out and actually, told the crowd, he's like, we are filming like only an hour away from here. And we thought it would be really cool to like show you guys some of the stuff that we use to film with. So they actually apparently loaded up stuff from the live sets that they're still filming with right now. Cause Mando 3 is in production and Ahsoka's in production and stuff. And they actually loaded all that stuff up. And then they had a surprise experience. They called it the Mandalorian experience that they announced during the panel. So like it was nowhere on the show schedule. No one knew this thing was going to happen until Favreau says, hey, we loaded up all this stuff that's actually being used right now to film these shows. And it's over in this other hall. And you can use a virtual queue to try to get into that thing every day. And I think it was awesome because it was so packed that we never actually got a chance to get in. We were in the virtual queue every morning. Like it opened up at 8:30 in the morning. We were in the virtual queue waiting for the queue to open ahead of time every day. And within 7 minutes of that queue opening, it was shut down because all the slots had been filled for the day. Yeah. That thing must have been insane. I think, didn't they have an actual animatronic Grogu, like an actual filming puppet there?
Yeah. Cause they, getting to the Mando panel. That was brought out there, but yeah, I saw pictures of it and somebody on the Celebration, Facebook page, the Bunta runs, posted like 500 pictures of it. It's like everything in there. And it was, holy crap. It was incredible. But the standby line, every time we went by there was
no photography. That was kind of the point. Didn't Favreau make a point of that going like, hey, this is just for attendees. This is just for you guys, the hardcores who are here. Don't put this online.
I don't remember him saying that about the experience. I know it was for the trailer because they showed.
Okay, showed for the trailers. That makes sense.
Yeah, they showed a trailer for Mando 3 during the opening panel. So, but yeah, I think because I saw a lot of pictures. Vandalorian says no flash photography at the thing. So, do people still use a flash? That's weird.
Anyway, that's what I was like, huh?
Yeah, but Vandalorian. I saw the Kenobi premiere as a way to see it and get some sleep without having to stay up late to see it. Well, we stayed up late. We tried to watch it at like 4 a.m. out on our hotel balcony and promptly fell asleep about 10 minutes into the episode. So yeah, we were a little worn out, but so back to the panel stuff. I had tickets. I had won the lottery for Celebration Stage for the Mando season 3 panel on Saturday morning. So I went to that alone, and holy crap. They showed the trailer again, but it was actually extended. There was more footage than they showed at the opening panel on Thursday. So Bo-Katan is all over it. There's a ton of Mandalorians in this thing. There's a room full of Babu Fricks. So like the Babu Frick race, there's a whole bunch of them. So that was cool. We saw the Dome City from Mandalore all blown out, like Din Djarin's flying in there. Basically says like, I have to, the armorer tells him, you can't be forgiven because, the planet's destroyed. Like they basically Mandalore's all effed up. And there's a line there he says near the end, he's like, well, I'm going back to Mandalore so that I can be forgiven. And it does show him flying in, and like the Dome City's all destroyed and everything. So man, it was so intense. And it was just awesome. That was a big panel. There was like 13 people on this thing. And I got there and counted the chairs. I was like, what the hell? And one of the main things was at the end, they did bring out Rosario Dawson. She had driven from the set like an hour away, and then she showed up, and then they showed this is when they showed the footage of Ahsoka, if I remember right, because they just had the video message for Ahsoka on Thursday, and then at the end of the Mando panel they showed the first footage of Ahsoka, and it finally like revealed Sabine Wren, and then the actress who plays her came out, and then they were, her and Rosario Dawson were talking about the show. So we found out that Sabine's going to be in the show, obviously, so that's it's going to be very Rebel centric. We saw the interior of the shuttle that they all were leaving on to go find Ezra at the end of Rebels. You saw the interior of the Ghost. So it just, the whole Mando panel was just, oh my God. I mean, Favreau and Filoni just do such a good job with this stuff. I mean, you can tell that they're fans before anything else. So that was really, really cool. And they actually, they did like a cast picture at the end of the panel. And that's where, Favreau had said, oh, there's one more cast member we have to bring out. And he brings the animated Grogu up on stage, and it was moving and stuff. And it was like standing there, and he's like, all right, buddy, you got to sit down. And it actually sat down. I was like, wow, okay. And it was waving and stuff, and it was pointing at people, and it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, you could see all these people that are in here. I mean, you got Favreau and Pedro Pascal, and you've got his 2 stunt guys, one of whom in the cowboy hat is Brandon Wayne, who is John Wayne's grandson, who we met on Sunday night, and then, or was that Saturday night? Was it Saturday night?
Saturday night.
Yeah. We were hanging out with him, so we met him at the hotel. Obviously, there's Jon Favreau. There's the lady that plays the armor. There's Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan. We've got Giancarlo Esposito, Carl Weathers, Rick Fukuyama, or Fumiyama. I'm always bad with his last name. And Rosario Dawson, and behind Katie Sackhoff is the lady who plays Sabine. But man, that was a huge panel. So that was really cool. And then, like I said, during the day,
it's obvious even from the key art at this celebration that Lucasfilm knows that the Mandoverse is absolutely their cash cow right now. Like there was that one panel about the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, but otherwise it was, here's all of our upcoming shows, most of which tie into the Mandalorian. Here's a panel about the Mandalorian, and we have a cartoon too.
Yeah,
and even that has a couple of ties. Like they know, and the merch on the show floor. Oh my God! Like everything was Din Djarin and Boba Fett and Grogu.
Yeah,
it was like everywhere.
Well, you were with me. I was walking around trying to get stuff like Biker Scout stuff because I collect Biker Scout stuff, and I found barely anything. I mean, there was like nothing. I found like one T-shirt outside of the badge art T-shirt in the Celebration store. And then I found some action figures, and that was about it. I mean, there really wasn't anything crazy because, like you said, it was all based on that other stuff. So
all the cosplay too. I mean, how many times did we see this walking around?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the best part was there were so many group costumes where like there were a couple Pellies out there, and of course everyone had a Grogu with them, but yeah, so many Din Djarins, so many.
Yep.
It was incredible.
But yeah, so then Saturday afternoon, I went to the Doug Chang panel, and that was just, I mean, you saw it at 19, so you know how cool it was. But that was that. I actually had my third celebrity run-in after that panel, because on Thursday night at the Bash, I ran into Steve Sansweet. So he's got a mask on, but yeah, we hung out with I hung out with Steve Sansweet for a bit. That was right as you had left to go get the rum. So right after that happened, I run into Steve Sansweet, and then after the Doug Chang panel, I was walking through the show floor and I ran into Doug Chang. So, and that for me was a really cool one, because I got to tell him about, how we saw his panel in 19, and we're just, we knew it would be good.
Miss Doug Chang?
That Doug Chang, exactly. So we figured it would be cool to see, his panel, but it was so much better than I could even have thought. So to see it again, and because the one in 2019 was art of episode 1, and this one was designing the Mandalorian. So the stuff that he talks about is just so fascinating, and he's such a good storyteller. And just he took questions after the panel this time, and some people had some really cool questions. He was so gracious, even if it was a kind of dumb question, and just such a nice guy. So we did that, and then
you know what I just realized? We're doing a lot of show and tell. This is going to make a terrible audio episode. Well, here, look at this picture. Crickets.
Well, this is our sales pitch for people to tune into the live show. But yeah. So then we got some dinner, and then Saturday night was we were hanging out with family, and then family decided they didn't want to hang out anymore, and you and I were like, you know what, we're not done. And then we did.
Yeah, this is the John and AJ adventure.
Yeah. So we decided, all right, damn it, we're going to find a strip club. Let's find a strip club out by a bar. We're going to go to a bar, go to a strip club. We're just going to go adventuring and see what the hell, And honestly, like I said, we're not big strip club guys. We just thought it would be funny. Just say that we went to a strip club out of town. So we ended up finding one that was by the place the Bunta was at. And it's on this access road, and it looked really shady. It was like if you go back into a kind of crappy looking industrial parkway, we were like, what the hell is this? But it was supposedly a super nice one. And we pull in, and the parking lot is 100% full. We're like, what the hell? And they're like valets everywhere. And it says valet parking, $10. Well, there was no self-park. So you had to spend $10 just to get your car parked. And we went, screw this. So turned around, and you had to take a piss, and I was going to pull up next to a building because there were some bushes, and right as you were about to get out of the car,
California hates bathrooms.
Yeah, there was nowhere to go. And just as you were about to get out of the car, I looked at him like, crap, there's a cop sitting over there.
Yep.
So we narrowly avoided that bullet. So that was good. And then we're like, all right, let's go to this other one that's, out there. And it was rated pretty poorly, which made it even more desirable for us. We're like, yeah, let's go to a shitty strip club.
Right.
So we pull into this.
We've been to the landing strip in Lima. We know what's up.
Yeah. This place probably would have been.
I've been to the Lido Lounge,
Christmas.
So nothing scares me anymore.
Right. So we pull into this parking lot, and again, even at this little dumpy place, $10 to park your car before you even get in and pay cover, and also I'm like, we're not doing this. So we got pissed. We're like, let's just go drink at the hotel. So we're gonna go sit down in the lobby, and you had decided I'm not paying for bar prices.
15 minutes before bar close, and the beers were $9+, no matter what you ordered. I was like, so I can spend maybe $20 plus tip for 2 beers. That's not a night. That's barely a start.
Yeah.
I was like, but of all places, the CVS down the street, less than half a mile away, they had a liquor selection that puts most stores here in Ohio to shame.
They had Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace, yeah, great distillery in Kentucky that you can't even get Buffalo Trace at the distillery because it sells out too fast where they make it.
Yep.
Doesn't even get sold in Ohio, but it was all over Nevada and California.
Yeah.
So I went up there and I never had Buffalo Trace. I'm like, it's $30. It's not expensive. And in fact, by California prices, that's stupid cheap.
Well, that's what you pay for it here.
I just got a bottle of whiskey.
Now that's bourbon.
Isn't it like
it's not
$34
whiskey
or something?
No, it's $29.99. It was the exact price it was in Ohio.
No shit, it was $28.99. Yeah, so it's even cheaper out there. But anyway, so I was like, okay, $20 for 2 beers at the bar, or $30 for a full bottle of bourbon that is apparently really good stuff that you can't get in Ohio. I know what my choice is. So I got a couple of Coke Zeros, and I got a full bottle of Buffalo Trace, and then we camped out in the lobby.
Well,
seemed like a good idea for a while.
Well, I was kind of partied out at that point. So when you left, I had gone up to the bar and I got a double pour of Whistle Pig neat and 2 Mick Ultras, which turned out to be an absolutely brilliant decision, as we'll find out in a minute. And I was just sitting there like I was perfectly comfortable with that. And then you come rolling back with a full bottle. I was like, Jesus. And I specifically told you, I said, what do you think we're going to do with that? We're never going to finish this. It's like 10:45. We're not going to go through a whole bottle. Mm-hmm. So, and you kept telling me like,
but my logic was it costs almost the same amount. So fuck it. I'll just throw out whatever we don't drink.
Right. So I'm sitting there, I'm sipping on mine. You're like, here, drink off the Buffalo Trace. I'm like, I got mine here. What are you doing? So, we were talking, we got into a really good conversation, and I started waking up a little bit, but I was still like, man. And then we started getting rolling with the conversation. I was like, okay, then I started really waking up. Well, then some friends we had met at the private party Tuesday night rolled over, and we were like, oh, hey, what's up? So they sat down. And then they happened to look over and they saw Brandon Wayne. So we went running out there. We got our picture with him and stuff like that. Talked to him for a bit. And then you and I came back.
Brandon Wayne, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, he's the guy that's usually in the Din Djarin costume on set for The Mandalorian. If you're not seeing Pedro Pascal's face, chances are it's not Pedro Pascal in the suit.
Yeah. It's this Brandon Wayne who, like we said earlier, is actually John Wayne's grandson. So kind of cool there. But yeah, so we go back inside and we're talking, and after like a half hour, 45 minutes, they come back in, and we're like, "Do you guys want to drink?" And because they had to be up early, they were going somewhere, flight or whatever, and they're like, "No." Well, eventually they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it." So like there was a whole bunch of them, and it just got down to these two, and the rest of them went off and were responsible, and these two stayed with us, and then we just got into this really nice conversation, and I'm still going to give you shit for this. You had the bottle of Buffalo Trace out on the table, and we're in the lobby, and now mind you, the bar was closed. So I mean, I didn't see why it was a big deal, because it wasn't like we were taking money out of the bar. We had the bar, we couldn't get stuff from the hotel bar. So, but I told you, I'm like, put it down on the ground and just at least hide it behind the table. At least let's try to be a little suave about it. It's like, oh no, fuck it doesn't matter. Well, sure enough, we're sitting there drinking. And, we're passing it around, and this overzealous, like chubby dickhead security guy comes over, and he's just a total ass about it. And he's like, you gotta put that stuff away, get rid of it, or I'm going to kick you out of the hotel. What the hell made you think you could do that anyway? And I was like, okay. And you were pretty pissy about it.
He was even more dickish than that. He started with, I'm kicking you out of the hotel.
Yeah.
Unless your guest's here.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. Okay, fuckhead. Well, 1, we are, and 2, go eat a bag of dicks. I don't care.
Yeah. And I
had too much bourbon in me at that point. I was ready to make a scene if it had been pushed any harder.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, fine. Okay, fine. And I was like, all right, well, but then I remembered that I had 2 beers sitting there. And I was like, shit, he had walked away, and I'm like, I got to let somebody know that I bought these beers at the hotel bar, because I don't want him coming back thinking that I just smuggled these in, because if he sees them and tries to kick us out, actually, he needs to know, no, these are actually purchased from the hotel. So as I'm walking up to the front counter to let somebody know, so, just to cover our asses, I start thinking, I was like, no, wait a minute. Mick Ultra bottles are brown. You can't really see through them except for the fact that there's liquid in them.
Oh, it's even better. They were aluminum.
No. These were the brown glass bottles.
Oh,
so
there were a lot of beer bottles. Sorry.
Yeah. So I got an idea. So I go back to, where we were sitting, and I chugged down the beer. But I had like half of one left and a full other one. And I took the empty and I filled it with Buffalo Trace. and then that's how we kept hanging out. We were just passing around this beer bottle, so it looked like we were just drinking beer that we bought from the hotel bar. And then, of course, because we had 4 of us and we just got to talking, we did kill an
the Coke
entire
had long since run out, by the way. There was nothing to mix with the whiskey.
We were straight sipping, and I was sipping off a Mick Ultra, and then we did cash an entire bottle of Buffalo Trace in one night in like less than, I think, 6 hours. Because I think we got out of there at like 3:45 or 4 in the morning or something, and we didn't start till about 10:30. So
it was a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, we really packed it.
It saved our asses though, because I was fine the next day.
Yeah, it was. I was I had finally hit the drinking wall, pretty much. Like I was like, okay, I've had my fun. I'm good. I think I'm going to behave. So, we went to bed, and then Sunday we went up and got up and we went to the Bad Batch panel, which was incredible. We got to see the trailer before anybody else saw it. And the coolest thing about that, I mean, dude, like I realized how much I know I like the Bad Batch, but I didn't realize just how much until I was at that panel for season 2. Cause I was just like, damn, this is cool. And, the coolest thing that they did was, they had 2 actors on stage. It was D. Bradley Baker and then, the woman who voices Omega. And they were talking about voice acting, and D. Bradley Baker said he was basically talking in the different voices of the clones pretty much for half of the time he was talking at the panel, which is really cool. But he said that, most people, when they do their voice recordings for shows, when they do multiple voices in a scene, they'll do them individually. Like they'll do a take and then stop and then go and do the other voice and stop. And he said he doesn't do that. He just goes straight on through, just character to character. So he'll talk like Wrecker and then he'll talk like Hunter, and like just in a row, like he doesn't stop. He just goes in and out of voices. And so they had one of the guys on the panel do the director reading the notes of a scene. They did a live scene with Omega and the Bad Batch, and they showed how he does it. And it was, I've never seen anything like that in my life. I hope there's footage of that online somewhere, because it was like the guy's up there and you're going through a whole scene, but it's only one guy doing every single clone. But it's like you're just watching the scene on TV. Like there's no breaks. I'm like, this is amazing. And you and I are both
didn't
like,
stumble over the line or anything.
Yeah. So that was really, really cool. And again, we saw the trailer. We got a really cool kind of like artistic kind of poster for that. So I'm going to have that framed. It's like an 11 by 17 piece of art that everybody at the panel got, which is really cool.
I want mine. Don't forget about that.
No, I got it. I got it right
mine. So,
well, you know what? We can make a trade.
That was another cluster. That was another cluster, was how to pick up your posters, because all these panels had collectible posters, and then they sent you over to another place to get them rather than handing them out as you were like filing out of the panel.
Section
and
E.
that alone was, it was all the way over where we first got in on day one.
Yeah.
And even that, there was like no clear like cue or direction to it. It was just a bunch of people milling about and then shuffling forward when the person in front of them moved. That was it.
Yeah.
And nobody really had a clue if we were in the right line or not. We're just like, I hope I get something at the end of this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a bread line in Russia.
Yeah. Pretty much. So yeah, we did that, and it was that was great. And then it was kind of, we kind of wandered around for a little bit of the rest of the day, and I purposely didn't watch the closing ceremony because it just, makes me sad. But I did see, they did announce that the next celebration is actually, supposedly they're going to do them every year now. And next year's is going to be in London in April. So I was like, sweet, because I can't do this in the U.S. again next year. It's just, I spend too much money. And I'm buying a house next year. I just can't justify this. So it'll be in London next year. Sunday night, we went to Unsung Brewery, just about 10 minutes from the convention center, and we hung out with the Vandalorian and our buddy Chris Mocked. He was doing a live episode of his show, Mocktails from the Cantina. So he had asked me
with no voice. That dude soldiered through. We had seen him on Friday and his voice was blown.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that he was not going to be able to talk very well, if at all, on Sunday, because the way he was talking was it Friday that we saw, or was it Thursday? Whatever night we saw him, like we went up to that other brewery. Yeah, we went to another brewery to hang out. That's
where we were before. And Friday night, a brewery closed at like 10. It was ridiculous. And that's how we got into the whole shenanigans of like.
That was Saturday. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was Saturday, because that was before we went on the whole let's go to a strip club thing. John Chiato, he says, so does that mean you won't go to London? That is exactly what it means. I will save my money for the next.
I'm not ruling it entirely out yet.
I'm saving my money for the
almost ruling it entirely out, but that's it. I do have a passport that I've never used. I got it in 2020. There have been many good opportunities to travel internationally since then, so this might be an excuse. Plus, our cousin's got a daughter who's attending university over there, so
well, all right,
get a chance to see her. But
I am not.
The cost will probably be prohibitive unless I find like 3 or 4 really good friends to split all the lodging and everything else with.
Yeah, it's prohibitive for me, so I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. But so that night we went to the Mocktails from the Cantina live episode at Unsung Brewing, excuse me. And I think I had one beer. I was just like, my body was like, don't you put any of that shit in me. Like, I've had enough of this
at that point, it's like seeping out of our pores. We're like, oh my God.
Dude, I was so bloated from all the crappy con food and the alcohol that I couldn't get my rings off. Like, I've got a Star Wars ring and my wedding ring, and I couldn't get them off, to the point where like 3 days in a row I didn't put them on because I was so bloated. I mean, it was just, oh my God. But we went and we went there for a little bit of the Mocktails live. He had asked me to come on the show with him for a bit, but he wasn't able to get to me before we had to leave. I had to get you and Dominic to the airport because you guys were flying home on Sunday night. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to the hotel. And we ordered some more of that fish stuff because, California Fish Company, because we just needed something with nutrients again. And we ate dinner and woke up the next morning early, and off to the airport we went. And in true AJ and JT fashion, you almost missed your plane at LAX on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Whereas
that was not our fault.
Well, that's not what I heard. According to Dominic, he said that you were dicking around with your phone. You had to charge it up and had to download Kenobi to watch on the plane. You took so long that it got to last call. And then you got on the plane.
Oh, no. I was talking about before then. Where the baggage check was shut.
Yeah.
Like, stuff was broken at Spirit at check-in, so we couldn't get they were directing everybody over to a person to check your bags in. And at that point, like, they actually like pulled everybody from the Cleveland flight out of the line to go to somebody else because they realized that there was no way in hell they were getting people through this line queue without missing their flight.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was not our fault.
Ugh.
The car return and everything else worked just fine. And then it wasn't. Yeah. And then we weren't going to miss the flight. We were right there at the gate, but yeah, I was trying to get that. And I mean, if they had really like made us think about it, I would have been like, all right. So it worked. Dom's being dramatic. Don't trust that little turd.
Well, all I know is you had that issue, and on Monday morning, my wife, my stepdaughter, and I were in the TSA line 2 hours and 3 minutes before our flight. So me over planning and making sure we're on time and not missing anything, and then you like cutting it to the last pubic hair of time. Like, on display.
We cut it to the last second because we were at that brewery when I was supposed to be driving to LAX.
We didn't wait that long.
We were hanging out for mocktails.
Yeah, we left in plenty of time.
Dude, we were reverse engineering the timetable, and you knew that we were a good 30 minutes behind it.
You were reverse engineering the timetable. We had set a time when you had to leave, and then Chris still hadn't gotten me up, so you were like, well, we can stay this much longer. I was like, okay, are you sure? You're like, yeah, we'll be fine. So don't blame me. You're the one that was making up the time schedule.
Revisionist history now that we're live. I get it. Okay.
Bullshit, man. Don't be throwing me under the bus. That's exactly what happened.
You can finish the show by yourself. I have a plane to catch.
You're an ass. So while he's off the show, look at this. He thinks he's being funny, but I'm going to remove him. Look at that. Now he can't come back. So, yeah. So after that, after Mocktails, we just kind of, AJ went to LAX, and then I went home to the, the hotel in any case, and finally got some sleep. I ended up, and then the flight home was the easiest flight home ever. We flew from Anaheim to Denver, and then Denver to Cleveland. And I literally, both flights, like as soon as I got on the plane, I put in headphones and put in a movie, and I was asleep before we even took off. And then I woke up as we were hitting the ground both times. So I basically slept through the whole entire trip home. Time change, time zones, everything. So, look at this. AJ's commenting. What do you want back on now? There. You happy you're back on the show now? So, but yeah, AJ had already been home, and I got home on Monday, and admittedly, the celebration sadness did sink in. And so I had purposely bought a couple beverages to have on Monday night to, kind of celebrate celebration. So I had a little bit of bourbon and a couple beers, and just sat there watching celebration highlights. It was a great end to the trip. John Chiato says, you fly out of SNA, John Wayne Airport in Anaheim. Yes, we did. We hired an Uber. I scheduled it the night before. The guy was 10 minutes early, and it was really, really cool. Nice and easy. I'll definitely do that again. But yeah, overall, man, great trip. But man, did we burn ourselves out. But that's good. Like, I don't know how you felt, but Sunday night I was, you have those vacations where at the end you're like, man, I really could go for another few days. Like, I really wish I had another couple days. This was one of those vacations where I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to see my dogs. I'm ready to sleep in my own bed.
Yes, very much so. Especially with the 3.5 days we had in Las Vegas ahead of time. That was too long to be away from home, actually.
Yeah.
Just tired of living out of a suitcase. And like you said, like paying con prices or hotel prices or California prices. Not sure which clothes you've worn and which you haven't. So you got to do the smell test to see what's clean to wear. Like, no.
Right.
I had enough of that stuff. I was good.
Yep. John Chiato says, I had to watch the live streams for a few days to get over con blues. Yeah. I'm still looking at stuff because, things I missed, and, Star Wars live stage, there's some cool stuff from that. And yeah, I mean,
here's the cool thing about being there, though. We noticed this, especially with the Bad Batch trailer. The one that they released online to everybody on YouTube is not the same one that we saw.
Well,
we saw a longer, more detailed one than what got released. So, like, people that think that, like, if they just wait a couple days, they'll see everything online after the fact. Not true. There's a lot of stuff you see only by being there in the panels at the event.
Yeah, and they showed that one scene. They showed like a full scene from one of the first few episodes of season 2 of the Bad Batch, and so we saw that. Yeah, there's so many things that you get at Celebration that, news comes out of Celebration that spreads really fast, but you see things that no one else ever gets to see, like that Mando stuff. Like, there's not even a trailer for that, and much less the extended one that I got to see in the panel. So, all these things. And also, this is one thing. Excuse me. Throat's drying out.
Gross.
This is one thing you really can't quantify, but you can watch like the Celebration stage panels online, like the big ones that they'll put them up on StarWars.com or whatever on the YouTube channel. But man, there is nothing like being in that room. Like, the energy is so much different. Being there live. And this is the first time I really realized that. And I think that's what's going to keep me going. Again, if the next Celebration was in America next year, I couldn't go because I'm buying a house, so my money's really tied up. But the year after, and in 24, if they do another one in the US, I'm like, hell yeah, let's rock. And I do think that it's probably better if you and I just go by ourselves. Because trying to
I don't think
schedule,
we're going to have any complaints on that.
oh, I'm already getting complaints from the wife, but I'm like, look, you went for, we got you a 4-day pass. You went for all of like 4 hours. And all you want to do is sightsee. All I want to do is Star Wars. It doesn't mix. And you know what, dude? This started out as mine and your thing, and I think it needs to go back to that. It just is easier to coordinate. You want to go to this? No. Okay, then I'm going. All right, see you later. You want to go to this? Yes. Okay, let's go. You want to go get in some trouble? Yes. So,
which doesn't mean that no one else is welcome on the vacation, but the celebration part, yeah, that's ours.
Yeah. Look at this.
No one else is really interested in it like we are anyway, but if it's in a city that they want to go check out, fine. There you go. Have fun.
Yep. Separate hotel and everything.
Go see your sites. We're going to go see our Star Wars.
Yeah. Here's the one downer that we found at the end. The Vandalorian says, and then there's the joke of, man, I need a vacation from my vacation. And then you get home and almost everyone we stayed with tests positive for COVID. So, yeah,
True.
we got
that's one way I got to keep in touch with some of the people we met was I started getting texts from people going, "Hey, I got COVID. You should probably go get tested."
Yep.
Which I did, and it's negative, so we're all good.
And I tested negative too. That threw me for a loop because I had to sing twice this past weekend, and if I had tested positive, I think like 14 days or 10 days or something. Even if it's like 10 days, it would have screwed me on 3 concerts that I had to perform, which then screws 4 other guys. And we make some pretty good money. So I was like, oh God, when I was taking that test, I'm like, please be negative, please be negative, please be negative. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, overall, man, it was a great trip. And, minus the debacle of getting in on the first day, I think it was pretty easy getting in and out of things after that, because people kind of figured out where to go, how to do it. Getting around was easy. The Mandalorian experience wasn't well marked. The celebration stage wasn't very well marked, but you kind of got the clue of where it was after the first day. That's kind of how celebration works. Like the first day, Thursday, you're kind of finding your footing, getting the lay of the land. And then by Friday, you pretty much know where you're going. And you're just motoring around. You pretty much know where everything's at. So, well, cool, man. Obviously, we'll be back here in 2 weeks. It will be June 23rd. June 24th. Excuse me, June 24th. And it'll be Wednesday, June 24th. No, 22nd. God, my math is all over the place. Yeah, it's the 22nd. Just trust me.
Yeah, okay.
Moron.
There's a TV show running right now that we haven't talked about, isn't there?
Yeah, and the final episode hits on June 22nd. So I think that next episode, I believe, will be that'll be our Kenobi episode, man. Real quick, since we've been going a lot longer than we usually do, quick impression. I did not watch today's episode, by the way, so I have not seen episode 4 yet. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. Anybody talking shit about it, you're wrong. All that stuff with Moses, what's Ingram? Is that her name? Moses Ingram?
Yeah. I didn't read anything. I just heard about it, and it's all stupid. We won't even give it airtime.
Yeah, people just being racist dickheads and saying, the acting is screw you. It's perfectly fine. Up your ass if you don't like it. I'm sorry. Like, everybody's entitled to your opinion, but that's just bullshit.
No, they are upholding a proud Star Wars fan tradition, which is to shit on the new thing and then a couple years later reverse course.
Yeah. So, whatever. I think it's amazing. I cannot wait. I mean, as soon as we get off the stream here, I'm gonna watch episode 4 before I go to bed. I absolutely think it's brilliant. I love it. What do you think?
Agreed. Totally agreed. I'll give my detailed review in 2 weeks, but yeah, I'm loving every episode, and for me, the standout so far is I think Leia. Honestly. I was never that into Princess Leia as a character, but boy, they are writing her so perfectly that she's kind of like one of my new favorites now.
Yeah. The only thing I think that's a little bit weird is how she's like, well,
sorry, is that a spoiler?
No, yeah. When she tells people, well, you're afraid of him because the way she's kind of like seeing into people, and it's like that might be a little heavy-handed because that never happened in the movies, but I get it. They gotta kind of be like, yeah, remember, she's a Skywalker, so and and so it's not even a complaint. It's just like, okay, whatever. But yeah, it's great. So in 2 weeks on June 22nd, see, I got it right that time. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be right back here discussing Kenobi and all of its glory. All 6 episodes will be out, and we'll be able to talk about the series as a whole. So that's going to be really cool. So please tune in to that. Again, every other Wednesday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. We are brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/NHC for your 30-day trial and a free audiobook download. And you can get customizable Nerf Herder Council swag at shop.nerfherdercouncil.com. So I am JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He is AJ
at Drake Adams 579.
And we will catch you guys next time.
This bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my Nerf herder.
You my Nerf herder.